Welcome to another episode of Inside Rangers Football. I'm your host, Brian Freeman, again joined via Zoom by Smith Valley head coach Larry Hill. The Rangers are 4-1 and now 2-1 in district play following a 48-0 win over South San this past Thursday at a Ranger Stadium. And coach, the score says it all. Offensively, you were very good. Defensively, maybe even better. Special teams played well. What were your takeaways from what was a complete team effort this past Thursday in the win over the Bobcats?
Well, just what you said, it really was a great team effort. Our defense got 5 takeaways. So anytime you get 5 turnovers handed to you by your defense, all the good that goes with that. You get an extra possession. You're usually on a short field. In most cases, those turnovers were on their own end of the field for South San. So we had 25, 30-yard drives frequently to go. We didn't turn it over. Our offense took care of the ball. So yet played well enough not to punt even on the night. And our kickoff coverage was outstanding. Our extra points and field goals were we made them all. So we did a lot of good things and, started fast, kind of put them on their heels and put them in a catch-up mode early, and we were able to pull away. And got a lot of players in the game, got a lot of playing time for lots of players, and that's not always possible. So it's just a good night all the way around.
The week prior, when we recapped the win over Clemens, we talked about the disparity in run versus pass. And a lot of that had to do with the weather that day. It was very windy. Some of it was the game plan. But ideally, you want to be balanced each and every game you play. You look at the yardage disparity from this past Thursday, you had 174 yards passing, 173 rushing. That's about as balanced as you can get. Was that ideally what you want to see in offense?
Well, yes and no. I mean, obviously that is balanced by the terms of statistically, right, just even Steven on yardage. But to us, balanced means do they have to defend both the run and the pass? When we break the huddle or come to the line of scrimmage from this set, do they have certain passes they must be aware of and certainly run? So, they're not stacking up against the pass, daring you to run, or stacking the line of scrimmage, daring you to pass. That to us is balance. We're not, never have been really a team that sought to be 50-50. Some years we've been right at that. Other years 60-40 one way or the other. So, and then some of it's what you said. What is the defense giving us? I mean, if they're going to let us do this over and over, then we're not going to be hard-headed enough not to do that. But it was a good night. We did throw and catch well, protected well, and then did run the ball efficiently. So in a perfect world, you could do that every week. Some weeks that's not possible.
You mentioned this earlier that you were able to get in some players late in the game that maybe otherwise wouldn't get those opportunities. Saw Derek Mata come in at quarterback and play pretty well for you. He's a junior, will be back again next season, so potentially showing you what he could bring to the table in 2021 and maybe the season if called upon. What did you see from your backup quarterback this past Thursday?
Well, we weren't surprised. Derek has played well for us coming up through our system and sub-varsity football and has had and then obviously did well in our scrimmage and some limited opportunities in other games earlier this year. So threw the ball extremely well, had a nice touchdown throw to Will Ford and managed the game well. And he got what he needed. He got game experience. And, like all our guys, he didn't do everything just right. But the only way you get better is to get in there. And it was good to have an opportunity for him to play a number, really the entire second half. And so good night for him.
You alluded to the 5 turnovers you forced on defense, 3 interceptions for you that came in the first half alone. I believe 3 out of the first 5 pass attempts from South San ended up in interceptions in your favor. You've not allowed a single point now in 7 quarters. The level of confidence and focus your defense is playing with right now on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Oh, I don't know. I've never asked our players that, but, 7, 8, a 9, I don't know. It has to do with our players, of course. It has a lot of factors. Sometimes we're stopping the run well, making them one-dimensional. Sometimes we're defending the pass well and making them run the football. The wind plays a factor. Field position plays a factor. So, but we've got some big trains coming down the track starting this week with New Braunfels, and so we're proud that, as you said, 7 straight quarters without a touchdown, but we're not naive enough to think that will go on to infinity. But good job the last 2 weeks.
So you had a couple of hurdles to clear this past week. You're playing in a short week. One is you played the Friday prior, and two, you knew nothing about South San. It was something that we discussed going into the show last week when previewing the Bobcats, is that they had yet to play a game this season. Brand new coach. There was no film, no scrimmage played by South San either. How do you feel as if your team handled those hurdles and performed this past Thursday?
Well, I thought they handled it real well. I don't ever remember a time in my career where we put so much scrutiny on watching the other team warm up.
Mm-hmm.
What are the plays they're running down there? How are they aligning their defense? How deep is their punter on the deep snap? That kind of thing. And we were very basic and generic in all of our phases of the game. Early in the game, just ran pretty basic stuff that can match up with anything. Couldn't really make any offensive or defensive calls specific to their alignments or formations because we had no idea what those were. As the game went on, we began to do that a little bit. So I thought our team handled it well. Hope it's a situation we've never had before, may never have again, but did good enough to win the game, and that was what we were after.
Well, again, Smithson Valley has won two straight. The Rangers now 2-1 in district play, following a 48-0 win over South San. Plenty of big plays. Coach Hill once again takes us through the plays of the week.
Let's go to the film room and take a look. Our first big play is an offensive play. We're going to feature Will Ford, one of our tight ends there on the right with an arrow around him. And Derek Mato, one of our quarterbacks. They're going to connect on a 28-yard touchdown pass that you'll see here as the play goes. It starts with a play fake. Snap comes back. You can see Derek fakes to Travis McCracken to the left, faking a sweep to the left, which draws in both linebackers of South San that way and allows Will to slip in the area behind him. Great protection, nice throw. You can see the very end of that there. Will's a yard or two deep in the end zone, ball perfectly thrown, nice fingertip catch, and we end up getting a touchdown pass, well-executed play. From the rear, you get a little different perspective. You can see the middle of the field open. They were crowding the line of scrimmage to stop our run, and we felt like if we could beat man coverage and get to that promised land, we could score, which is exactly what happened. Again, the snap comes back. There's the fake. Great protection on the right side of our offensive line. You can see Derek has quite a bit of time. Then they insert a linebacker late on a blitz, and the man we fake to, Travis McCracken, comes off of his sweep fake and picks up that blitz, gives us just enough time. See Will's got a step or two on the safety who's covering him man, and the ball's very well thrown in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. Big play, well-executed play. Now we go to a defensive play. As this is an interception on our sideline, we'll focus on Gavin Woods, one of our defensive ends, sophomore defensive end, is pressuring the quarterback. Doesn't quite get him, but flushes him a little wider. And when he does, our linebacker who's tracking him, senior Darlington Frash, closes in and gets a hit on him right as he throws. Don't get a great look there, but Noah Flores right in front of our bench comes up with his second interception in the last 2 weeks. Big play. You get a better look at it from behind. The quarterback's on a rollout pass. Here comes Gavin that we mentioned earlier, pressuring him and forcing him wider. As he goes wider, Darlington's tracking him, as we pointed out in the other angle. And then you see Noah in the back there. He's kind of laying in the weeds. He's covering the deep man, ready to break up on the short man. He's got the circle around him, reading the quarterback's eyes. As the throw comes, he comes off of his man, makes a tremendous diving catch toward our bench, just a real athletic play. You can see him stretched out there. Gets a big pick. Of course, that turns the ball over to us. We had 5 turnovers, takeaways from them on last Thursday night's game, which was a big factor in the game. Our last big play is another defensive play, another takeaway, another interception. Goes about it a little different this time. We have 2 inside linebackers faking a blitz. Toby West on the right, Darlington Frash on the left. They're blitzing in the middle. They block one of them. They block Darlington, but Toby's clean, and he flushes the quarterback wide. And then there's another familiar face, Gavin Woods, right in his face. You can see the quarterback's having to throw while backpedaling. He's got one foot in the air going backwards. That forces the ball to hang. Blake Bowman, one of our senior safeties, is in perfect position to high point that ball. And you can see he takes it away before it drops into the receiver. Gets an interception on the 30-yard line, which gives our offense tremendous field position. From the rear, from the quarterback's perspective, again, there's the inside blitz threat by Darlington on the right, Toby on the left. they pick up Darlington, the center box, but Toby is now free. He's in the A-gap, pressuring him, forces him outside to Gavin, who forces him to throw off his back foot, as we pointed out earlier. Better look at Blake moving in on the football, and he high points that thing right there in front of their receiver, and he's out of bounds on the 30. Gives our offense a short field, and they go score. And those were our plays of the week.
And again, a 48-0 win for the Rangers over the Bobcats this past Thursday. Another Thursday game coming up as Smithson Valley takes on the New Braunfels Unicorns. A game we'll preview coming up next right here on Inside Rangers Football.
A whole lot of things have changed over the past few months, but some things have stayed just the same. Here at Smithson Valley, we are still making your kids smile. You may not see that as easily with those masks on, but those smiles are just beneath. And when all this passes, and it will, you'll really be reminded of how we just keep making them smile. Thank you for your trust and support, and get your guns up.
Hi, I'm Kelly Irwin. Sage Capital Bank is proud to partner with Comel ISD in supporting our community, families, and students. Go Rangers!
Hi, I'm Donna. I'm so excited to welcome Dermatology San Antonio to Smithson Valley.
I think we made a great decision.
You know, you have a beautiful office, but I brought a few things that I think you're really gonna like.
Donna?
Principal Wall, are you here to welcome Dermatology San Antonio to Smithson Valley as well?
No, I'm here for my 3 o'clock Diamond Glow facial.
Principal Wall.
This week in Rangers Trivia. This Thursday, Smithson Valley faces New Braunfels for the 21st time in program history. The 21 games are tied for the most the Rangers will have faced one team. Canyon has been Smithson Valley's most frequent opponent as the Rangers have played the Cougars 31 times. Which team is Smithson Valley's second most frequent opponent? Is the answer A, Judson, B, Madison, or C, Bernie? The answer is C, Bernie. Although it's been nearly 20 years since the Greyhounds and Rangers last played, there have been 23 all-time clashes between the two schools, with Smithson Valley having won the last 5. And that's right, the team that the Rangers have played the second most amount of times in program history, the Bernie Greyhounds, but the two have not met since 2001. But, Coach, a couple of decades ago, that was quite a rivalry you had with the Greyhounds.
Yeah, you know, they're 20 miles away. Of course, now they have 2 high schools over there. Bernie High itself is 4A and Champion is 5A, who we've not played. But, yeah, those were some fun times. You know, in that era, you know, we were district games with them in Kerrville and Fredericksburg and Canyon. You know, it was a little more one-horse town, just a different culture, different, just kind of a neat thing. And we did have some wars with Bernie, no doubt.
So looking ahead to the game this week, speaking of a one-horse town, you're not playing horses this week, you're playing unicorns. The New Braunfels Unicorns this Thursday at home at Ranger Stadium. New Braunfels is out to a 3-2 start, and they are 1-2 in the district, but you look back at the game against Steele a couple of weeks ago, and their record could be identical to yours. That game came down to literally the final play. We'll talk more about that in a minute. This is the second time you and I have previewed New Braunfels here on Inside Rangers Football. Of course, you were getting ready for the Unicorns a couple of weeks ago. The game, though, got postponed. News that came out the morning of the game itself. So as you look at New Braunfels now, 2 weeks later, they played a couple of games as you have. What impresses you about this football team?
Well, they continue to evolve, you know, and I think that's probably true with most teams as the year goes. You begin to focus on things you're doing well, maybe begin to stay away from things that, not that you're struggling at, but maybe aren't a strength. And you're right, 3 weeks ago we were previewing them, and here we are again. But, you know, they've begun to feature some different players and different things offensively and defensively. But by and large, they're staying true to their roots. You know, they're a spread offense. Puts the ball in their 3-year starter quarterback's hands, who's an outstanding player, both with his arm and his feet and his game savvy. And, pretty balanced between the run and the pass. Have been very big play oriented. They served them well, beating Wagner the other night. And then defensively, just really solid up front. Their front 6, 7 players defend the run well. They're never out of position. Their secondary is very well drilled, and just don't make mistakes. And just what we need in 27-6A is another team playing at a high level. And as we've said from the beginning, can't worry about last week, can't worry about next week. Just got to worry about this week, and this week's no exception to that.
I know this works both ways because New Braunfels was getting ready for you 3 weeks ago as well. Is there an advantage or a disadvantage to getting to prepare for an opponent, essentially twice without having played them? And the same goes for New Braunfels getting that opportunity to prepare for you?
Well, maybe so. I don't know. I guess whatever advantage or disadvantage there is would be shared, with both teams. We certainly have seen every game they've played this year. They've seen every game we've played. And then, of course, we've played them a number of times. Our staffs have played each other since 2014 when Coach Mango came over there. So they know everything about us. We know a little bit about them too. So I don't know that there'll be a whole lot of secrets out there Thursdays, because who's going to execute the best at what they do?
You talked about New Braunfels' offense, and it's one that's been fairly balanced this year. There's that word again. Riker Purdy has been a very explosive running back for them, and they put up 36 points this past Thursday in a win of their own. Very impressive win over Wagner in Converse, 36-19. As you've gone back and watched film from that game specifically, what stood out about New Braunfels' win, and what kind of team comes into Ranger Stadium on Thursday?
Well, Wagner's a very pressure-oriented team, play a lot of man coverage, crowd a bunch of people around the box, and really try to send a bunch of folks at the quarterback. And they did a great job of picking up blitzes and giving their guy time to throw the football. And they had some receivers that made some 50-50 ball catches, one-on-one with a corner, no one else around, ball in the air, not really all wide open, but go up and elevate and take the ball away. And, that, and they created a couple of turnovers, a couple of fumble takeaways on Wagner, and stopped Wagner's drive, of course, but also gave their offense some extra possessions. And, nobody's really slowed Wagner down and kept them from big play runs and with that unique style of offense that they have. But New Braunfels did, and made plays offensively and played real well in the kicking game. And quite frankly, not just won the game, they deserved to win.
So the calendar has turned from October to November. You're hitting the stretch run of the season. 4 games left, a stretch that begins Thursday against New Braunfels. This has been a wild year, as we've discussed over and over again. How do you feel as if your team is holding up physically, emotionally, mentally as you hit this stretch run?
Well, I think they're doing fine. It has been an unusual year. Normally this would be the week of the 10th ball game, the last ball game, and here we are with 4 to go, as you say. Weather's turning cooler. It's getting dark earlier, or getting daylight earlier, depending on which way you want to look at it. But we've been doing this a while, and so injuries and fatigue and things, weariness, things that we have to, as coaches, be concerned about. We've kind of altered the way we do things to try to keep them fresh and schedule in a little more off time. But you got to be careful there. Okay, we're a little fresher, but now we don't really know what New Braunfels is doing. We haven't practiced enough or met enough. So it's a balance, one that we've kind of had been forced into examining, and hopefully we're doing the right thing. I don't know. I guess the results will come out on Thursday night.
Well, Coach, we'll see you then. Best of luck against New Braunfels on Thursday.
Okay, thank you, Brant.
Again, Smithson Valley hosting the New Braunfels Unicorns this Thursday at 7 o'clock. A game we'll have for you right here on the Rangers Network. For head coach Larry Hill, I'm Brain Freeman. This has been Inside Rangers Football. Thanks as always for watching. We'll see you next time.